Hi everyone. Hello. This is Esther again. Um, so I'm here because I want to address some issues that's been happening in the community. I found it necessary to address it because of all the stories swirling around, misinformation, the lying. Um, It is my story, and I would like you to learn from my story. I want you to, now, first of all, don't feel pity for me at all. What I want you to do is listen closely to what I have to say and learn from it. So, I got married 2010, okay? And a month after I had gotten married, a girl contacted me. Her name was Sandra Inim and Ifwadufu. Anybody who lives in Massachusetts and Worcester, they probably know them because they do the Ghana, Miss Ghana show. Okay, they contacted me, and basically, what they had contacted me about was that they were looking, Sandra specifically was trying to find his boyfriend, and I don't know why I was the one being contacted, because I didn't know which boyfriend she was talking about. And then she went further and she told me, oh, his name is Alfred, and he had given information to me that you are the business partner, and showed me pictures on Facebook that you're the business partner, and that he was moving to Virginia to do business with you. And so I was calling to figure out why he's not answering my calls. So apparently, when we were dating long distance, he was also dating this girl whilst living in Massachusetts. So what happened is that she had no idea he was married. He had come to Virginia and was married. So she was in limbo. She was shocked when I told her that's my husband. First of all, I had to verify, because I couldn't get my head together. And this was just a month after we had gotten married. So I had to get my head, together, to figure out, is this the same person that we're talking about? So yes, she gave me the pictures, their pictures, and they basically had been, going around, having dinners, lunches. So it was the same person we were talking about, no doubt. But only this time I was legally married to this man, and her mom came on the phone. As a matter of fact, I made a three-way call and put them on the phone, and he did not know they were on the phone. So I asked him about it, and he lied, and the girl's mom went off because he had taken the girl home. He had, showed the girl, his family that he was serious, and they thought this was a serious relationship. Okay, so the mom was angry. The girl's mom was angry. She fired at him. She cursed him, and I'm not talking about cussing, I'm talking about cursing as an African curse, okay? Like voodoo kind of cursing. She cursed him on the phone, and said, hey, after they actually apologized to me because they realized that I was also in shock. And then, they said, hey, we're sorry. We didn't know this was, it at all. We didn't know you were married, and my daughter would never do such a thing. So anyway, again, the name is Sandra Inim. I contacted her, and I was actually going to do this video with her and a few other women, but I'm being forced to address this, issue right now. So she doesn't have the time to do it today, but we'll do it later. But anybody who also knows Ifwa Dufu, she is quite popular in Massachusetts. I believe she's in New York now, but I know she's very popular because she was doing the Miss Ghana, projects, event. So you probably know her. But they were both, they were in total shock. And a month into my marriage, that's how it started. It started on a wrong foot. Anyway, fast forward, we've had this issue with infidelity in the marriage for so long. Those are the major issues we've had. It's not just been Sandra. There was another girl called Rebecca Captain in Ghana. He had told her that he had married me for convenience, and she was like also in shock. Just like, I mean, it's been one. It's a pattern. It's this person who gets bored with whenever he gets into a relationship, he gets into the relationship for self benefit. Okay, first of all, he wants a woman that's doing well, and at the time I was doing well. Secondly, he likes supply. He's the kind of person that's charming, very, very charming. When you meet him the first time, when he speaks, he commands respect. You would like him. You would want to be his friend. And it's difficult to believe anything that people will say. Like, nobody would believe it if you told them that this is the kind of person that he is. So my struggle in my 10 years of marriage, almost 11 years before it got dissolved, had been trying to make people understand I wasn't the villain. I was literally the woman that was trying to shush all the flies all the time. All the time, I was trying to drive away people. There was never a time that we were able to have an alone, private time that was intimate without people, without women in the picture. Like, it was always like that. And I just came to find out, after the collapse of my marriage recently, that there's this thing called narcissistic personality disorder. Narcissistic personality disorder. These are people who are charming. There are two types of narcissists. One is very outgoing, very loud, braggadocious, and then there's the covert narcissist. And covert narcissists are also very charming, very calm, very quiet, but they're just as lethal as the overt narcissist. But we'll talk about narcissism later, because I'm just coming to find out about it. I'm just getting as much information. My counselor has been, from the pattern that I have been talking to my counselor about, it is a person who has narcissistic personality disorder. He gets a woman, he gets bored, and then he finds a shiny new toy, and then he moves on. And what happens is, when he moves on, he leaves everything behind as if they were never there. Like, he shuts the door and then builds a whole new community of friends, and then he'll mess that place up, shut it up, and then move on. So this is what I had been dealing with. In our 10 years of marriage, we had, Sandra, we had Rebecca Captain, we had, there was another girl in New Jersey called Nanaya. There was, we've had about 6 women, actually. That's, the major problems we've had in the marriage. And when he, because, when you're a scorned woman, when you're a woman who is in marriage and you're struggling to keep your marriage together, you end up stepping on toes, because there are also people around him who are interfering constantly. Like, you have no privacy. People like him as a friend, and he likes the attention. Narcissists love attention. That is their drive. As a matter of fact, my counselor calls it supply. The attention is supply. And once he gets that supply, the person that that's living with him, like the spouse, is a person that becomes the villain, because then everybody is seeing what you are putting forth, but they don't see what he's putting forth because he's covert, right? So this is what we've dealt with in our marriage in terms of me and him. Fast forward, he decided to start a church. First of all, I knew he was not a person of faith. When I say a person of faith, he doesn't pray. He doesn't pray. Even when I force him, I say, hey, let's pray, he'll tell me, oh, God listens to women, so you go ahead. So for him to tell me he was starting a church, that was it was weird. It was really weird. And I had to go along and support it, regardless, because that's my husband. So he brought these people into the church, the Yeboah family, Isaac, Stella, Linda, and Rosemary. Rosemary at the time wasn't here. She was in Ghana. So this family, we took them in as our own family. They would come here and have parties in our home. I would do the cooking, I would do the baking, and they would go away. I would do the cleaning. Okay, so these people were like buddy with us, and then we go to church together too. So even my kids knew them as family. They played together with their kids. As a matter of fact, Stella had a child, and the child fell sick. I went to the hospital, prayed with them. That's how close we were. And so this girl, Rosemary, came from Ghana into the picture. That's Isaac's sister. Now, before I continue that story, let's hold on to that story that I just started. Okay. And I'm going to just digress a little bit. In 2013, any apostolic person, anybody who went to the apostolic church would remember this incident that happened. We went to Alton Bay prayer camp. Okay, my husband was there, I was there. Most of the apostolic church members were there. As a matter of fact, some of them are still here in Arizona. Martha is one of them. Auntie Caro is one of them. So they know the story I'm going to tell. If you ask the apostolic people, if they would tell you the truth, they would tell you the story. Hold on to the Isaac, the Yeboah family story, okay? I'm digressing a little bit, and then I'm going to join everything together. So when we went to this prayer meeting, we were called. I was called. Specifically, I was called. And I was asked where my husband was. And I said he was here. So the man, mind you, this is not our pastor. I'm not talking about our pastor. I'm talking about a total stranger who came to preach at the church and does not know us at all. So he called me. He said, where's your husband? I called him forward and he joined me. And the man said, I'm going to ask you a question. And I'm going to ask you 3 times. And I want you to answer truthfully. And he asked him, do you love this woman? He said yes. He asked him again, do you love this woman? He said yes. He asked him a 3rd time, do you love this woman? He said yes. And he told him, Peter denied Jesus 3 times. And that there is a time coming that my husband at the time would have lunch with a lady, and that they're going to be caught. And after they are caught, my husband is going to say he's divorcing me. And he warned him that if that happened, his life is going to take a downturn. Okay, so now that that story is over, fast forward 2020, the Yeboah family entered my life. They entered our family. We took them in, and that their sister, came from Ghana, In fact, before the sister came, I had already gotten some information from Stella, who is the sister-in-law, about Rosemary. Okay? She came in and she told us that Rosemary had cursed her that she was never going to have a child. Okay? Now, she was at the time having a lot of problems. I'm not going to state the problem because it's medical. It's not my story to tell. But she said that, basically Rosemary had cursed her, and when they were in Ghana, and she had a lot of issues with the girl. And she did not even at the time want to condone to Rosemary coming to live in her home. But I advised her, if she would tell the truth, I advised her and I said, hey, as your brother's, your husband's sister, you cannot stop them from coming to live in the house, so you have to figure a way to make it work. As a matter of fact, she also complained about her father-in-law. And now I understand. I do. I understand 100% what that girl was saying. But I'll come to that. I noticed that Rosemary kept bringing shirts to my husband, like literally a lot of shirts. There was one time he brought 10 shirts, African prints. I was like, why does this girl keep giving you shirts? She says she's selling it. She's even bothering me with it. I don't even want it. I don't know why she's bothering me so much with shirts, but I'm trying to be nice, so I'm gonna buy it anyways. I was like, okay, all right, well, being that we started the church and at the time there was no pastor around, he was literally the person kind of spearheading the church. So I was like, okay, maybe she's being nice. But hindsight, I should have, and I was so naive and stupid, I should have noticed what was happening. She wouldn't talk to me when I talked to her. Every time that I would try to talk to her, she behaved like she didn't want to respond. And so at the time I was like, oh, okay, maybe she's not a kind of person that doesn't like talking. You understand? And I noticed that she would talk to other people, but she wouldn't talk to me. So I was like, okay, whatever. Maybe she's not comfortable with me. Or maybe, at the time, I didn't have a very good relationship with Stella. So maybe Stella is saying stuff, that's making her feel a certain kind of way towards me. So, hey, I left it alone. But hindsight, I realized that she actually had an agenda. She had an agenda. So anyway, continuing the story, Stella had already, like I told you, given me a clear picture of who I was dealing with. But at the time, it did not occur to me. She came to me one time and she said, she was having an affair with a married man, somebody who's very well known in the community. I don't want to mention his name. And that, basically she wanted us to talk to her because she was bringing the man into the house. And I said, I don't know her that well, and obviously she doesn't respond to me that much. So if I do talk to her, it's going to seem a certain kind of way, like I'm budging into her business. So I didn't, because we were spearheading the church, that's why she was bringing these issues to us. Okay. So, she came, I discussed this issue with my husband at the time, who's Alfred. And he confirmed, he said, they go to an IT school, and that the IT school they were going to, people were talking that the girl was also having a relationship with a married man there. So he believes what Stella is saying. Okay. So I was like, okay, well then maybe this is a pattern. I didn't think much about it. Apparently, it's, some people, when they feel comfortable having affairs, they don't care. They have no heart. They just do it and move on. So it's not my business. I did not bother myself with it at all. So anyway, fast forward, I started noticing some changes in my husband. Every married woman, if you're married, when your husband is having an affair. You will find out. It's very, very, very easy to find out. When They're changing the underwear suddenly. They're buying new underwear. They are suddenly wearing cologne to go out. The other things I'll leave to myself. But I suddenly noticing him, doing certain things and coming home late. He would go to church. I left the church, okay, for personal reasons. And him having certain interactions were part of it. So I left the church, and I felt it wasn't necessary. The church wasn't addressing my issues. And I just left. So anyway, so he would go to church on Sunday, this time alone, and come back 3 a.m., 1 a.m. So he would leave home at 10 and come home like, 1, 2, 3 a.m. And so I would ask him where he would go, and he wouldn't respond. He would start fighting with me. So I decided to, put a bug on his phone. People have been asking me about that bug, but I'll post I'll post it later in a link. He would I bugged his phone, and I also put a GPS tracker under his car, so I could track where he was going, and I could see it live in real time. And then I also was getting text messages between him and Rosemary at the time. So I found out, and I didn't say anything. I wanted to give it time, to fizzle, because I thought, men do this sometimes and it will fizzle. But what got me attacking the issue head on finally was that Rosemary's brother, Isaac and Stella, the brother and the wife, they had a baby and lost the baby. My husband was still living in this house with me, and he was helping arrange the funeral and everything, and did not tell me. I had no idea they had lost a child. Somebody happened to be kind enough to let me in on it a couple of days before the child was buried. And obviously everybody was thinking I was a mean woman who had heard, because this family was like our family. They were friends and family, to us. So everybody was like, oh, this is a mean woman. She's not even coming, to say hi to this couple who had just lost a baby. And I was home because I'm living with my husband. They thought, hey, she must know. He probably told her, but I had no idea. But thank God somebody told me, right? So I did. I went there. As a matter of fact, I was in a grocery store when I found out the date and time of burial. So I rushed there, from the store. And on the day I went there, I saw my husband standing, there, Rosemary, Isaac, all of them, right? Except for Stella. Standing there, and the child was being buried. Being a mother, I was, it was hurting. It was just heartbreaking to see a child that had just been born being lowered. And I was, all that time, because I knew a little bit about what was going on between my husband and Rosemary, I was looking at their demeanor, their the way that they were presenting themselves. My husband was trying so hard not to look in my direction, and trying so hard to disassociate himself from me emotionally. And I've come to find out that it's part of the narcissistic personality disorder. It's a way for them to validate what they're doing and make it right. Make it right to the, seem right to themselves. So it's sort of an emotional abandonment, and then they justify it in your brain. So looking your direction, talking to you will be an acknowledgement of you. And so with him, being there with his mistress at the time, was a way of disassociating from me, so the mistress does not suspect anything. Because from what I came to find out, he had told the mistress that we were getting a divorce, which was a lie. It was a complete lie. And I'm gonna come to that too. So this video is gonna be a little longer than your average YouTube video. So After the funeral, I came home. After they buried the child, I came home, and I came to find out, because my youngest child was with my husband at the time. And so when I came home, I was expecting them to come home after the funeral, but he never did. He came home around 8 p.m. And when they came, my youngest told me that from the cemetery, after they buried the child, him, Rosemary, and my husband went for lunch. And that was crushing. It was so crushing. Not because he took her, to lunch, but I got a glimpse into the soul of both of them, especially with Rosemary. Because if I lost my nephew, I doubt the first thing I would be thinking about is going to lunch after that body has been lowered in that casket has been lowered, into the pit. That would be the last thing on my mind. And so I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I was sickened to my stomach. I felt like, what kind of a human being would just see a child being buried and then go to, and mind you, I told you I was watching her countenance all the time. I was standing at the cemetery, and I even tried, to go say hi, because I was saying hi to everyone, and she left, when I was coming towards her, because obviously she felt guilty, of what they were doing. But them going for lunch after that burial, she did not drive her brother home. She did not go home to comfort her brother. That in itself should say a lot to the brother and the wife. But what she rather did was go to lunch with my husband. So that was it for me. When my husband came home, I decided this was it. I was going to face this head on. I was going to confront it. And, what goes down goes down. Because I was done. I was tired. The lies, the women, it's constant, right? So anyway, so this time I did. I confronted him. He said I was a liar. I told the church about it too, because they were still at church. They were still going to church. They were in the church management. Rosemary actually was a part of the church management. So I told the church about it, and they both said I was a liar. Okay. Obviously, my husband has convinced a lot of people I'm the devil, I'm the villain. So they believed him. They did not believe me. They believed him. So I started giving some of the church, elders some evidence, text messages and things that I knew, I had, that showed that this is what they were doing. So I'm going to leave the church one, whatever the church said they did, or whatever they did, whether they addressed the issue, they did address the issue. Whether it was addressed in a proper way, that's another story altogether. And I'm not going to go into it now. So I would leave that alone for now. But I just wanted to bring this across to you because this is I want to put this to rest, first of all, and move on. I do hope that they're both happy. I know that people have called me, asked me about the wedding and all that, who's going, who's not going. I know everyone that's going. I know everyone that's not going. I am going to tell you this. If you, in any part of your mind, think that, because I called the girl's dad, right? When the affair started, I called the girl's dad and I made him aware his daughter was having an affair with my husband. And the dad apologized and told me he was going to make sure that she stopped having the affair. As a matter of fact, this is the conversation. We spoke on the phone, and then also, this is the conversation that his dad, I'll leave it on a little while. So after he spoke to me, he prayed with me actually over the phone. And he told me that he was going to make sure that his daughter, stopped, having an affair with my husband. He asked me if I was going through a divorce with my husband. I said no. We had never planned a divorce. Apparently, that's what my husband had told Rosemary. So after I messaged him and I said, thank you, for listening to me, and thank you for praying with me and comforting me and encouraging me. And he sent me this message: you are very welcome, and God richly bless you for your patience, understanding, and tolerance. Thanks also for the retraction of the article, because I was going to post an article, right? I had a newspaper at the time. I sincerely appreciate it, and please feel free to call me whenever the need arises. Once, I promise you, my daughter Rosemary will have nothing doing with your husband henceforth. Bye-bye. So not just that, then finally my husband, after I found out, I confronted him. He started saying he was going to get a divorce. He didn't want to be married again, Like, he had already told the girl he was getting a divorce. So me confronting him and then him finally saying I'm getting a divorce, it was, and I have an audio. That's something that, and that's something that he did. I have an audio of everything I'm talking about, every conversation I had with him concerning this situation. And so, yeah, that day, he said he was getting a divorce after I confronted him about the lunch he went, to have with the lady. And that is when the prophecy, the Alton Bay prophecy, started coming true. So he went to, right there, he was insistent for me to give him my terms of divorce, right? I said, look, if you want a divorce, fine, but it's half of everything if you really want out. And then he said I should write it for him. I suspected he was going to do something with what he wanted me to write, so I did write it down for him. And true to the word, as soon as I wrote it for him, he took a screenshot. Mind you, I had a bug on his phone. He didn't know I had a bug on his phone. He took a screenshot and texted Rosemary what I had written down for him. And so I got it, right? I got a copy of it. And I said right in front of him, I said, you do know that I'm receiving text messages from you, right? And he was like, yeah, I don't care, whatever. So, yeah. And then I called Rosemary's dad and made him aware that my husband had just filed for a divorce, from me. And then he told me that even if he filed for a divorce, it was never going to be possible for him to be married to his daughter because, what I'm talking about. It was not going to be he was not going to allow it. That's what he said. And this is the message that he sent me as well. Happy New Year to you as well, my dear Esther. I pray this will be a blessed year for us all in Jesus' name. I just want to thank you for touching base with me and updating me for the divorce. All I can say is, as a true Christian, just continue obeying and trusting God and leave all the consequences to Him. Have a blessed Sunday and take good care of yourself. Now, so all this while, this man knew exactly what was going on and what his daughter was doing, and he was covering up. He was, and that's why I want to tell my story, because I want you never to trust anyone. Please, people, don't let people into your home. Don't believe anyone. Don't, be careful. That's all I got to say. I don't care whether they're in church. I don't care whether they're speaking in tongues. I don't care whether they're pastors. As a matter of fact, I'm even realizing some people going to this wedding that call themselves pastors and are praying all over Facebook. And they know exactly what went down, but they're still condoning it, right? They're still, being a part of it. Personally, any friend of mine that goes to this wedding, I'm done with them, because that shows you're not a principled person. But I just wanted you guys to know my story, because there's a whole lot going out there. Nobody has heard my side of the story. And before I even made this video, I spoke with my bestie, and he was like, Esther, is this necessary? Not necessarily, but because of this, there's so much surrounding it. I'm dealing with an individual, my husband he's a narcissist for sure. Even though he has not been diagnosed, because narcissists generally would not give themselves up for diagnosis. At some point, it was so bad, and that is when my counselor started trying to figure out what was going on. At some point, things in my marriage were so bad, I started taking antidepressants. It was that bad, and I was taking 100 milligrams of antidepressants to keep myself running, to keep my daily activities going, because there was so much, the lies, the continual gaslighting. Like, you would see things, right? And you know what it is, but he would tell you, you are the problem, you are the one making stories out of nothing, you're building mountains out of moles. The constant cognitive dissonance, I don't know how to explain that, but there was always something that I had to contend with in my head. You would find things about him, and he would lie. Like, he would lie, and you would be forced to believe his lie, because he repeats it in a way that makes you actually believe him. And people, narcissists are charming by nature. They're also very talented people, but unfortunately, this lifestyle is a pattern, and from what I've heard, it leads to what they call a narcissistic collapse, which means that this pattern of deceiving people, getting involved with them, and then moving on like nothing ever happened, moving on to the next person, starting the same, it's a pattern, and it's a circle. And eventually people get to find out the real them. I mean, if I had brought all the women, and I was able to get hold of some on this video, you would understand what I was saying. I want to put it to rest. There was a blogger that was going to do this, and I was going to put it out there, but I decided to do this on my own. So I tell my own story. I don't want to embellish it. Those of you that believe me can believe me. If you want to share, you can share, because I'm sure somebody would notice me, or notice my story, or know the person that I'm talking about, because apparently he's had the same thing going on other places. I thank God for how far he's brought me. He's preserved me. He's covered me. And I just I'm grateful for all the friends. I have so many friends that have shown me so much love, so much care, and have been there, for me throughout this very difficult time. Am I hurt? Absolutely. I'm human. I'm human. I was living in a relationship that was full of turmoil, full of fights, because of people like Rosemary were constantly in the picture. Let me state this, okay? And that's just the last thing I'm gonna say. When Rosemary went to the school and got a job, he came home to tell me that Rosemary had gotten a job. Everybody was talking about it, and she was earning like $200,000, and he wanted me to go do that course, okay? And I told him point blank, I wasn't gonna do it. First of all, that's not my field. I don't do things because everybody else is doing it. I just don't feel I feel like I've got my own talent and purpose. So I don't chase money. I chase my talents, and I chase my purposes. And he really wasn't up for that. He wasn't down with that. He just wanted me to go make some money, So my I think I almost feel like it was a factor. It drove him, because he liked the fact that money was coming in. If they're getting married, I'm telling you 100%, more than likely she's footing the bill, most of it, actually. As was with the case with me. I mean, a lot of the money that, and right now I feel very stupid, because at the time I was doing well, and I was like, hey, he's not making that much money, so it's okay. We want to get married, and people say, hey, you shouldn't be looking for a rich man anyway, so I can help, get married. He wasn't working. He was schooling full time, and I was doing all the work up until I got pregnant. A lot changed. So this is my story. Be careful, please. This family, the Yabua family, I wouldn't say I'm disappointed. I'm horrified. I am horrified. This is an accursed family. That's what I would say. Because for the father to have said all those things to me, prayed with me, and then it's just the whole thing is bizarre. It's bizarre. Our marriage ended November officially, and they're getting married, and we are in August. So apparently they've been planning this all along. Um, be careful. Don't trust anyone. Don't let anyone into your home. I don't care. I've learned so much. I've learned so much from this journey. Please, even church, don't trust. Don't trust your pastors. The only person you should trust is God. As a matter of fact, I don't think I'm going back to church after COVID-19, not because I don't believe in God. I think that church has been institutionalized. I think a lot of the things that is being done there is superficial and fake, and we're lied to. Um, and so, yeah, that's just the way it is. And this is my story. I just wanted you guys to hear it. I'm putting this matter to rest. I wish them well. I really, 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 really wish them well. I do. Um, Give it a year or two. Give it a year or two. They might not even come out to say anything, but give it a year or two. God bless you. Take care of yourself. Love you all. Bye.